name is Jason Benedict. I'm one of the co-founders of RX Ambassadors, and I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Dr. Amit Kakar from Avalon Pharmacy. Hey, Amit, we got an exciting episode for today. You ready to get this started?
Absolutely. Good morning and happy Friday.
Happy Friday. We're happy to
Welcome.
have you on today. Tell us a little bit about your pharmacy and where you're located.
My pharmacy or my experience first. My pharmacy is Fox Health Medi-Mart. That's a long-term care pharmacy in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. A little bit of my experience. I've been a pharmacist for 29 years now, with experience about over 40, because I started with my dad. He graduated from pharmacy school in 1959. And my dad was the old school kind of a guy where children has to help out in the business. And we had overseas a small chain of pharmacies, and we had the set schedule, after school to help out and learn and all this good stuff. So maybe I started when I was 10 years old, and by the time I was ready to get to pharmacy school, I was doing everything inside out. As I mentioned, I was managing the family-owned business overseas for about 15 years before I moved to the States. For some obvious reasons, I didn't like the ways healthcare goes overseas, where there is no quality control, there is no oversee, there is no computers. People can walk in and buy anything and go. It's all cash-based. Yeah, good business from a business perspective, but from healthcare perspective is horrible. So I decided to come and explore pharmacy in the States, and started with CVS as a clerk, then a pharmacy technician, even though I was pharmacist overseas. And I acquired my license here after, a very long way there, and learning and getting into the corporate business and retail business. And the very first thing that's grabbed my attention, because when you're overseas and looking from outside, and you're looking at the greatest country in the world, and you have this kind of assumption everything is perfect. But the very first thing that's grabbed my attention when I moved, that's they put the pharmacy all the way in the back, and patients and seniors has to walk all the way through the aisles to get to the pharmacy. And that was a little strange. I didn't understand why initially. Of course, I understand it now, but I came to realize it's about business, not patient care. I stayed with CVS for 8 years. I was their regional support staff, where I would go from store to store when they have issues and fix. Then I was nominated Pharmacist of the Year in my region in 2009. That was in September. I left October same year, and I joined Henry Ford. And I explored a completely different world, from retail business into non-for-profit organizations and hospitals, and completely different concept. Worked up my ladder. I was the regional supervisor and part of a board of management for 28 pharmacies for Henry Ford. And that took me about 11 years with Henry Ford. Then I start, looking into implementing programs that would improve patient safety. I created a program between me, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Henry Ford. That was back in 2010, and that was the beginning of what we all know, the medication therapy management. That was a start back then, and I put pharmacists on the floor to manage the discharge, and help the hospitalists when it comes to drug interaction, reviewing everything, coverage, and making sure a patient will go home with their medications. So there is no lag time between filling medication, going home, filling medication, something not covered, they can't afford it, then they go for days without their meds, and that's a major reason for readmissions. And probably you would know that if there's any readmission in the hospital within 30 days, that's hurt hospital financials. So I helped implementing my programs to reduce the medication-related readmissions from 35% to 2%, and saved the hospital about $6 million that year. which led to the Henry Ford CEO reaching out and asking me to implement my programs across the board in the 6 hospitals back then. And we did a pretty amazing job in terms of improving patient safety and mid errors. One of the programs I also implemented with outpatient physicians, where I approached one of them. They were all my friends and we're working together for years, and they know me. So I told them, okay, who's better equipped to approve refills? Is it your staff or a pharmacist? She said, of course, a pharmacist. So I told her, okay, give me access. I'm within the same system. Give me access to your refill queue. I will manage your refills. I will review everything, patient chart, last visits, medications, drug interaction before I approve everything based on your protocol. And result in the first year was shocking because we caught 1,200 mid errors in 1 year with one cardiologist.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that became now part of what we do or we used to do when we're working for Henry Ford, and that's another program. And that's led me to the next step where, of course, when you are successful and you face with corporate politics, I'm into patient care, and I get people to work harder. Some people don't like that, so you know what I mean. So that's led me to start creating my own business, where the best area that would need my kind of programs. I was thinking it's the seniors, so I started my long-term care pharmacy, implementing the very same programs, having presence of pharmacists in every senior home we serve, and making sure everything is going the way it should be and everything is covered, and reducing out-of-pocket costs for seniors, and tailor the services for individuals based on mid-last history and all this good stuff. And it's going great. So eventually I had to make my choice when my business was successful here. I made the hard choice to leave the very good position with Henry Ford and just focus on my own long-term care pharmacy business.
Love it. You shared a lot with us. Thank you. That was amazing. I love the fact that we have 2 generational, pharmacists on the episode today. There's, so unique, different stories, right? I think one of the things that resonated with me is you mentioned, the patient safety and how you implemented these programs that ended up catching, you said 1,200 errors just with one cardiologist. Like, I think that's the major differentiator between those big box retail chains and the independent pharmacies is you have more of an opportunity to create relationships and to care about the impact that you're truly making. And I know Amit feels that. He's an independent pharmacy owner as well, and focused on the retail side of things. He has a high volume, but he also has that same level of attention into patient care. So I'd love for you to share maybe with us what's been one of your greatest things that you've implemented in your independent pharmacy that has created success and growth for you over the last year?
Well, it took me years thinking about that. What do I need to do to differentiate myself? Because when it comes to long-term care, it's EMRs, it's blister packing, mid cards, and monthly deliveries and daily deliveries, and it's they all do the same thing. In order to do things differently, the cost is very high. So the programs I implemented and I was looking to implement, which what I was thinking is it's my passion as well. It's not just business for me, but to start implementing those programs where, for example, I'll give you an example. What with one of the things we do that's very different than others is when we get a new patient on board, right? We don't just transfer prescriptions and fill, and that's a good business coming to us. We don't do that. What we do is we do CMRs, comprehensive medication review, make sure everything is going the way it should. Establish communication with the physician, and that's the major, cornerstone here of success when it comes to those kind of programs. If you don't establish relationship from the beginning with the physician, you're gonna face resistance from the physician side. Who are you to tell me what to do or what not to do? All right. Even though you're talking in interest of their own patients, but if you don't initially establish this kind of relationship that's lead to trust or mutual trust between you and the physician, so you're like preparing, per se, the road, a smooth ride between you and the physician, if it was built on a trust. Then you start, having this luxury of talking to the physician directly and discuss what you need to discuss, ask for a replacement. You will be more heard based on this trust. So when you do that, then you start, as I said, you start doing your clinical work and safety checks, and we do brown bags. We go to the facility. We meet with the seniors. We meet with the caregivers. We do patient education. We do caregiver education. So that's this kind of things that's making us standing out and making people look at us. Well, I am confident my dad or my mom in a good hands. So that's the major thing that's improving the business here. The only downside, and that's the balance, that's healthcare in general. The major challenge here is how to balance between your budget, your cost, versus the quality of patient care you need to provide. The more patient care, the more involvement of a pharmacist, the more quality of work, the more hours, labor hours you need to put in, and it does hurt your bottom line. So it's a choice we have to make. We could lose at the beginning. We could spend out of our pocket and establish the model that we're looking for, and we have the foundation to build on. So the choice is either to do what everybody does with per minimum, and you can go by, or you provide this quality care, and the strategy here is to increase your volume. So to work hard to increase your volume, to make your voice heard, to make your programs understood. And once you reach certain volume, you're compensating for the quality and the labor and or the extra cost, and you start building on it. Make sense?
Absolutely. Amit, I'd love for you to speak. I know a lot resonated there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Wessam, I mean, it's fantastic. We share. It's really not, it's interesting because we all three have different models. Diane is compounding. We saw from long-term care, and I'm an old school outpatient retail pharmacy. So these different models, but it's interesting. We all struggle with the same, the same issue, and that is cost versus time versus where's my time going and where are my costs and how can I produce the product. So this is fantastic. I was going to ask you that question. You pretty much answered it in terms of how do you balance your time and your cost and your investment? Because this obviously what you're doing. I love the model, the time that you're taking. Eventually, over time, you create the model. Is that correct? What we're hearing?
That's correct. And there's other things needed to be done as well. You need to go the hard route of hiring highly technician, the hardest step. That's lead to more to be done per technician versus increasing the number of technicians, number of disqualified technicians. That's one. Two, for example, I had to let 2 pharmacists go, and I went back. Even if the model is for me, the educational part, that the reaching out and being with the seniors, so I had to come back to the pharmacy and start verifying myself. I had to cut 2 pharmacists, hire more qualified, even pay more for more qualified technician, but we're operating with Even we have a higher volume, but with less number of technicians, and I'm verifying myself. That led to cost saving, so I can still do what I do. It's not in my age, it's not ideal, but up until you reach the volume where you can gradually add technicians, add more pharmacists, and so on and so forth.
I feel like I feel like as pharmacists and pharmacy owners, we're the mountain climbers, right? We think we're going to the top of the mountain. What we do is we're backtracking, readjusting our feet, and then moving in a different direction to get to the top. So it's interesting. I think also, Diana, coming out of pharmacy school, we all think we're going to get to the top of that mountain, and we will. Well, what ends up happening is we end up taking 5 steps back, not realizing, okay, let me take 5 steps back to do 10 steps forward. I think as long as you come in with that mindset, you understand that it makes, right, Jason, I'm sure you can attest in your business as well. Sometimes we have to backtrack a little bit to take 10 steps forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it just goes to show, like, Wessam said, it's like it took him 10 years to get to where he is today. And I think it's the lessons learned. It's having care and intention in what you're doing, right? If you care and you're passionate, Diana said a lot about, like, she's passionate about what she does. When you're passionate, there's care and intention in what you do. And I think when you care and you have intention, you learn from every lesson. You backtrack a little bit so that you can create better processes and systems moving forward. And you can figure out, how do I serve the next best patient in line, and learn from the last one so that I can provide the best, patient care possible. And that's what I love about independent pharmacies is that level of connection, that level of relationship that you're able to do. And it's also, I think, the beauty of entrepreneurship. You get to dictate and decide which direction you want to go, where you want to pivot, when you need to refocus in certain areas and say, hey, I need to let go of 2 pharmacists in order to create growth and revenue on this side of the business. So I think it's all those things that make, being an entrepreneur, being a small business owner, an amazing thing to accomplish each and every year. So I know we've got a few more minutes. I'd love to have Wessam tell us a little bit about, like, the specialty side of what you're doing in the assisted living. You mentioned that earlier, kind of the long-term care. So maybe you can just speak to that to some pharmacists who are listening, thinking, hey, I want to go into this direction. What can you share with us on that side of the business?
I don't do specialty drugs. The market is dominated by the big sharks. Although I was managing a specialty pharmacy within Henry Ford, but it was very different model because Henry Ford is a non-for-profit 340B entity. So being a 340B, the profit margin is unbelievable, like crazy. Like, I'm not sure if you guys familiar with 340B, but you can get a drug that's you get reimbursed for $5,000, you can get it for $10, stuff like that. So you can make $5,000 profit per prescription easy. That's compared to, if you're not 340B, 3% max. Although having a specialty aspect or specialty area, if you can get into it and you can get access to limited access drugs, if you can, which is the major challenge here, 10-20 prescriptions a month, you're set. You know what I mean? It's what's left in my mind, if you're not already established as an independent retail pharmacy. If you want to start now in the pharmacy business, the only 2 areas left are the specialty and the long-term care. Nothing else. Right? If you're not established already in retail, get out, in my mind, unless you're already established. If you want to get in, it's the long-term care and specialty.
I love it. Great recommendations, great topics for today. I really enjoyed having you and Diana on today's episode. So thank you for participating today. Thanks for sharing your collective knowledge and your experience. I know that our listeners are taking notes and going, I should do this. I should look into this 340B program, or I should think about, if I'm passionate about compounding, maybe, and I just didn't take that next step. There's so many opportunities for growth, but I think it really boils down to following your true passion and that certain level of intention and care that you want to give, and the impact that you want to make in the world, and in your specific sphere of influence, which is your pharmacy, which also expands outward. So Amit, did you have any other closing remarks that you wanted to share with either of our guests today?
Well, I have one thing to say. If you don't care, don't be in healthcare. As simple as that. If you're thinking business, right, go do business somewhere else. If you start by caring in healthcare, I guarantee you're going to be successful. It might take longer, but once you're there, you're set for life. But if you don't care, please don't touch it. We're dealing with patients, happy customer, right? And sometimes they are not as pleasant, even though you're trying your best to help, right? People have stress, emotional issues, all kinds of things when it comes to healthcare. Phone is ringing left and right. If you don't care, man, please don't be here. But if you do care, I guarantee you, people will feel it. People will know that you care. And if people see you this way, I guarantee you will never, ever lose a customer.
Great words. Amit, would you like to have any closing remarks?
Yeah, I would just love to say, very similar with Sam and Diana, have a passion, have a purpose, and know where you can make an impact. And I think with that mindset that you come in, especially with your patient engagement, you have to be able to engage with your patients. This is not I'm a pharmacist, I hide behind the counter anymore type of business. If that's your model, abandon it, right? It's about impact and having that passion, having that purpose, clearly, as both of you do. And that's why you've done so well. So it was a pleasure to meet you both. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. Thank you both.
And, take care.